man, I went down a wormhole with with a gentleman about Buda Gate last week. I mean, I'm still processing everything.
Is that a different podcast, or we're covering it today?
That's a whole nother. We're gonna need to block off some internet time for that one.
Well,
It's
for those of you curious,
yeah.
check
So
out Buda Gate.
yeah, the takeaway. Yeah, the takeaway with Buda Gate is you know, I didn't think anybody listened to our podcast, but randomly a gentleman, a landman here in Houston, came up to me at the luncheon, HAPL luncheon. He was like, "Hey man, like the podcast. Y'all need to do something on Buda Gate." And I was like, "What's Buda Gate?" And so I went down a wormhole researching it. And the long and short is the supposedly there's this massive Saudi Arabia oil reserve and LNG reserve north of Houston and like Washington County, Lee County, and everything, Madison County, Grimes, that EOG Resources has discovered. And they were in there very active. I mean, everybody around here knows how active they were in that area, you know, pre-COVID. But since then, the amount of infrastructure that's being built into that area is like nothing that, you know, has been ever been seen. They're laying 48-inch pipe all over the place, that kind of stuff. And the concept is that there's this huge discovery, and EOG's tied in with the Department of Defense, and they're building out this infrastructure, and it's going to be the next biggest thing, and we're all going to be rich, baby. But EOG bought all their leases, let them all expire, move their rigs out. It's like totally reverse of anything we've ever seen from like the new Saudi Arabia. So who knows? But it got us thinking about stealthy stuff because I'd never heard of Buda Gate. And so that's how we kind of came up with this.
There we go. That's a good backstory. I listened to one podcast. I can't remember the name of it, but they were going pretty deep into it. Maybe we'll link to it in the show notes if you want to check it out.
Yeah. So Greg, is it Greg Kane?
I think Greg that sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Boy, just pull his string and let him go. I mean, he's got so many facts.
Kind of like Steve. Just pull a string and let him go.
Yeah. So when Harry Carey comes out.
I resemble that comment.
I'm just
do a whole podcast of Harry Carey talking about Buda Gate.
There we go. That's the next episode for Land Department.
I'll get the glasses.
Perfect.
Okay, so let's go through one of these stealth leasing projects. Give us one.
I mean, Brandon, let's start with one of the early ones.
Start with the Fayetteville. Okay. Circa 2002.
Were you still driving the Danger Ranger at that time?
I was, you know, I'm trying to think back to my 2002 ride.
It was probably
it was either a Monte Carlo Super Sport or it was like
Geo Tracker
92 Explorer.
Had that Landman money.
I was a fresh landman though. I think I was making $100 a day and working in Arkansas. And I guess it was around October of 2002. I get a call from Haven Strike. Haven Strike goes, "Hey, don't tell anybody about this, but I need you to go to Clinton, Arkansas." I didn't even know where. I'd born and raised in Arkansas. I didn't know where Clinton was. I need you to go to Clinton, Arkansas and find rooms and board for 20 landmen. I was like, okay, sure. I get my day rate, right? He said, yeah. So,
no, you don't. No, a neighbor strike.
So I drive up there, and Clinton is a sprawling town of probably about 1,500 people. And I call Tom and I go, "Tom, there's not a bed and breakfast. There's not a hotel. There's nothing in this town." He goes, "Well, keep looking." I said, "Okay." So we keep looking, and about 15 miles away, there's this town called Fairfield Bay. And it's a retirement community that just went bankrupt. So they had all these townhouses and things that were recently opened. So I ended up getting about 10 of those. And so that was the start of that stealth leasing project. We were working for Southwestern, as everybody knows now. By January of 23, we were we were starting to buy leases. So our strategy there was stick 20 landmen out in the backwoods of Arkansas. We bought a title plant, an abstract company, bought their entire title plant, which really made some other companies mad when they found out about 3 or 4 years after this. And that way we had our own title plant. It's all grantor grantee in Arkansas. So we were able to staff 20 landmen under a mock name. I think we used New Century Production at the time. And frankly, just kind of the short of it is we were there for 2.5 years before anybody ever knew we were there. I think we bought like 110,000, 120,000 acres before anybody knew. But the key to that was really just different name, obviously backwoods of Arkansas, north central Arkansas, not very populated. Nobody really knew what was there, what was going on. And, talking to your landmen, obviously, and being like, look, you're here, but you don't even tell your family where you're at. You're just here and you need to stay here and work. But the keys really were having that abstract plant, and finding a out of the way place. I mean, you didn't drive to Fairfield Bay. We didn't even hardly go to the courthouse much at that point in time. We were buying off tax rolls. We literally bought exports of all the tax rolls, loaded that in our system, did the tax rolls, bought off those. Then we'd run a little cursory check and confirm our title, pay them. So that's the short story of it. But ultimately, it was highly successful in a time that people weren't looking in that direction. So it was easy to stay stealth. And then Chesapeake came in once they found out, and we went from we started out leasing at $10 an acre for a 5+5. We went to 15, we went to 25, we went to 50. And about that time's when Chesapeake came in, and it went to 250, then it went to 660, then it went to 1,500. Then all the way up to $5,000, $6,000 an acre.
And then you had to get 20 new landmen because the other ones had bullseyes on the back of their head.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that was a scary time. I mean, people were mad. There were a lot of people that were mad. There was also a lot of people that just said, hey, that's the deal we made. But a lot of people pissed off at the world there. And Chesapeake had an interesting strategy. They actually teamed up with a large, prominent landowner and an attorney. So all their leases were actually, whenever I say they went to 600, that actually went to 660. They'd pay. So what would happen would be they'd pay the landowner 600, then they'd pay the attorney that was working for them $30 an acre, and then they'd pay the big landowner another $30 an acre because they were out there promoting Chesapeake.
Yeah, to source the deal. So, yeah.
Yep. Genius idea from Chesapeake. I mean, they were able to, we had a huge head start at that point, but they were able to really catch up using that strategy. So, very, very, and obviously everybody else was in at that point too. I mean, we saw, 10 companies come in once they figured out what was going on, once we drilled some wells, and all that was public information at that point.